Hello, this is George Lees again, once more making a video in the open air, in the light of the sun god. Technically quite difficult, but let me show you what that sun god's capable of lighting up. This is what has been fought for 2,000 years, over 2,000 years. Yeah, no gunpowder at the beginning, but that is Scotland. That's the Scottish border is down the road. Sorry, that is Scotland. There are the Cheviot Hills and the Lothian Hills that eventually take us up beyond the Firth of Forth and into Dundee, where I used to make the videos outdoors. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and we're in a town of Morebattle, and it's called Muirbattle, and that is, the Muir is the moor and the soggy nature of the place. But the mountains here then take us down into England, and that is the massive battles that we have had with the English in those places. That's the Percy family against Scotland again, and that is the battles of Otterburn, down beyond those massive hills there. Okay, the Cheviot Hill is somewhere south of here, I think, a bit further back into the hills, and the border, which is, remember, Michael Ancram of the Official Secrets Committee. He was the one that was in charge of the Irish Terror and all of the stuff that happened in Ireland, and he lives on a massive estate on the Scottish side of the border. So Jedburgh's up there and his estate is there. Let me now tell you an extension of what we've been listening to in the last few days from me. That is the fact that Donald Trump is a Pfeffer, P-E-F-F-E-R. That is the legendary Pfeiffer families. All of it is derivatized, like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, from the pepper root word. There it is. That one is David Pepper. We're going to need a cover for this. Thank God that the internet access companies can make the internet accessible at this level in a fabulous country place like this. So let's see if a drape will help. What the title of the Wikipedia profile is: David Pepper, Intelligence Official. So Boris's name is Johnson, but that is the nickname. His real name at birth was Pfeffel. Yeah, the Pied Pipers that take their country to war for the landmass that their country is. And he's a Nazi, as we now appreciate. David Pepper, Intelligence Official. Sir David Pepper, KCMG, born 8th February 1948, so as soon as the last war is over, he's born so that his opponents will die. Yeah, or his terror mechanisms will be used to scare his people shitless. And all of them are Deutsche DVD Nazis, which means that they believe that they secretly won the war. And I can confirm that that is true, and that is the ownership of the European Central Bank and everything that has been taken from the British people. The whole of it is a mafia. The Treaty of Lisbon declares that no longer will the Bank of England be in England, it's going to Frankfurt. Yeah, so that it can be safe from revolutionary people like me and him. You should see the death toll that he's creating now. Ultra efficient. He or she or they remember everything that has happened, and the revenge attacks are quite intimidating now. Pepper gained a doctorate in theoretical physics from Oxford University, which, remember, right up to 1949 was immune from bombing. And we've got no grass cutters here. It's very nerve-wracking when you have to make videos in almost complete silence. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and that is the rival to Rupert Murdoch, yeah, who now believes that he's the sun god on this earth. Quite nerve-wracking for them when they have to go to those funerals. Right then. So, Pepper gained a doctorate in theoretical physics from Oxford University, joined GCHQ in 1972. Remember that Boris has the same name. I'll show you that it's exactly the same in translation. Pepper to Pfeffel. That is the head of the army in Britain and the head of the government in Britain. And this could be a tank. No, we're okay. Right then. Pepper was director at GCHQ at the time of the 7th July 2005 London bombings, which means that he was part of the engineering of those London bombings. Yeah, I've already made the videos on all of that and how the scamsters terrify their citizens and their electorate so that they can keep their £100,000 basic. That is actually only a Scottish salary. Fuck knows how much they get in Westminster. Right then, so Pepper was director of GCHQ at the time of the 7th July 2005 London bombings and told the subsequent committee there were conspiracies going on about which we essentially knew nothing. Yeah, do you get that now? The know-nothings, like all of my friends that have been the activists. It was under Pepper's tenure as GCHQ director that the Tempora data collection program was instigated. With oh, it's friendly people. Sorry, I'm making a video, but I can't make it properly because of the sun. Cheers, girls. So, following his retirement from GCHQ, Pepper was a member, oh thank you, of the advisory board of the French arms company Tools and a strategic advisor to Defence Strategy and Solutions LLP, run for profit like all of the wars and the terror events. Right then, so I'm going to have to put the camera down so we can get to another part of this page. Okay, so do you get it? That is the highest ranking official in the British Army. Yeah, and that is the highest ranking official in the British government. And all of them are Nazis. And I'm not sure, I think we're marginally on the English side of the border. We could be blown to bits. Yeah, there's the snow on Dundee's hills. Right, so let's get you to some of the other facts. The linguistic word that is pfeffer is not on Google Translate, but I've found it on another website, and as you now know, it means pepper. And that is the source of pepper, and those super hot corn crops that they use to make the pepper. Let's now just move along to another tab. So there is the house of Rothschild. Oh my God, how did they get in so early? They're usually well out of the battle zone, and they eventually make the decisions on which of the leadership team are going to have to take the reputational fall or even the killing at the wall. So let's get another tab so we can start with the low life. So there's Mansfield and the joke that is Scottish religion. Yeah, do you get it? Mansfield Hoik Rugby. That is both the siring of the English king in the Cheviot River Valley after he had been shagged there. She had been shagged there. Queen Victoria had her only legitimate baby down below Hoik in Carlisle Castle. Right then, so let's see if we can get something coherent in here. This is now a reminder to all of you that Britain, since the war, has been one of the most intensive laboratory-based eugenics scientific organisations that the world has ever known. It's got the funding from it now, thanks to the ownership of all of the banks across Europe by the corrupted governments. Yeah, and all of that is not governments at all. That is the corrupted politicians that have robbed every one of the federal banks in the world. That is the global syndicate, which is why the Little Sis website calls the American intel American government. Yeah, and all of the Forbes rich listers are where the taxes and the rates and the scams on industrial and weapon production is as high as it ever was. Okay, so let me just get along through the tabs. There's Porton Down. Let me remind you how they use animals as testing regimes. There's Porton Down. Science Park in Wiltshire. Sorry, we're hopelessly under the sun again. Yeah, Science Park in Wiltshire, just north of the village of Porton, near Salisbury, which I think was a cathedral in the ancient days. Totally appropriate. That is the biggest cause of death in world history. Okay, let's move on to the next one and see what sort of research they do there. Wartime, this time. Porton Down in wartime. Yeah, Science Park in Wiltshire. After World War II, the site also produced the nerve agent sarin. Yeah, that is the Rothschild family's output. Yeah, when they named themselves Bayer, and that is the Germans that used that to get the notoriety in the war that they were gonna kill all of those Jewish people. Everybody gets killed if they're poor and if they're not able to defend themselves with massive weapons. Then they are taken to the ovens and they become ashes once the nerve agent has been absorbed through their respiratory system. That is sarin, used for experimental purposes at Porton Down. The site closed in 1957 with much work transferring to and that's when the article stops. The past Porton Down Can't Hide, that's in the magazine called Science that we used to read as academics. Yeah, and that is the academics that now have no funding for any of their research. Yeah, and then they take the money for the running of the university now from the students instead of the government. Yeah, and the committee of 300 and the committee of 1001, all of them are the beneficiaries of every one of these plots. WW2, People's War, arrival at Porton Down, 1940, BBC. Yeah, part of an account by Geoffrey Jackson, slightly edited by L. Jackson, following Geoffrey's escape from Dunkirk. And there are dark secrets of Porton Down inside controversial defence labs. And hello. Let's get on to the Pfeffel story. So, Porton Down again, this time the Wikipedia profile in full, is a science park in Wiltshire, England. Yeah, just northeast of the village of Porton, near Salisbury. It is home to 2 British government facilities, a site of the MOD's Ministry of Defence, Defence Science and Technology Laboratory, that's called DISTIL, known for over 100 years as one of the world's, UK's, most secretive and controversial military research facilities, occupying 7,000 acres and a site of public health. England, yeah, do you get it? Nerve gases for public health. It is also home to other private and commercial science organisations, and is expanding to attract other companies. And that is the production of sarin, and then they pretend that all of it in the war was not used as nerve gases by Rothschild, but it was actually used by lower level members of the Frankfurt nobility that actually lived in the Judengasse. Yeah, all of it is a jocular killing of all of their own kin, because remember, the Rothschilds pretend that they're Jews, but they are actually Ashkenazi Jews, and it's nothing to do with the Jews or Jesus Christ and the strife between those two religions, or Mohammedism or anything like that. It is all just to get the numbers down and to get rid of the hungry eaters, Princess Anne's greatest ambition. History of government use post First World War, Second World War, post-war period, 21st century, site names, associated locations, non-government use, areas of concern. So they make sarin, and that secret is given to them by their German allies in the both sides now war. And my creator is still shining down on me, even although that black cloud is ready to consume him. Yeah, it is an absolutely sordid history that we have, and now's the time to change it. And that up there was a fort. Yeah, a Bronze Age, I think, fort. I remember visiting it. You can see the ramparts are at each end like steps on it, and that is the Bronze Age mounds that were the only thing they had to defend the country at that time. Yeah, spears and swords and possibly arrows, but it is a fabulous place. But it's a sad, sad story. Let's keep going. Sorry it's so difficult to do it here, but I just thought it's ages since we've done something in the open air. and it resonates more that way, I think. So let's just get rid. Sorry. So Porton Down science does not really tell you when it was founded, but let's just see what the pictures are. And let's get rid of these adverts. Right. So, Wiltshire, remember that is the place where they had the earliest Stone Age worshipping of the sun god as they danced round the stones. Yeah, that is, I forget the name of the place that was the earliest worshipping place. It's now used for pop concerts and things. Yeah. Just north of the village Porton in Salisbury in Wiltshire, to the northwest lies the Ministry of Defence Border1 Down airfield operated by Quineti Q. On some maps, the land surrounding the complex is identified as a danger area because they've still got sarin in the buildings. Absolutely lethal. Work at Porton started in March 1916, right in the middle of the war, when those German techniques were exchanged, and we've told you all about how all of the people that were in charge of Operation Winnie the Pooh in World War II were double agents. It is the same in World War I, which is why the same administrators were used in England. That is Morton, who was the Batman in World War I for Butcher Haig. Yeah, remember, everybody then had masks, gas masks. Yeah, we used to have one in that attic of my house. Yeah, and that's because my dad went not to war, but to work as a sapper in Korea. Yeah, and all of the people, when the air raid things went off, all of the people in Britain had to get those guards and make themselves safe, even although we lived in country villages and farms, and the sun's now gone in. Yeah, that is the memory within my lifespan, and there's trialing of mortars in 1917 in the British countryside. Post First World War, the War Office set up the Holland Committee so do you get it? The French are now part of the team, and all of it is a pan-global syndicate. What they're going to do is to get rid of the hungry eaters. That is why the Bullingdon boys lead the government now. So can you hear the quality of silence in a rural place like this? And remember that Porton Down is the same. Yeah, I keep forgetting the name of the ancient Stone Age place, Stonehenge. Yeah, work at Porton started in 1916. In 1919, the War Office set up the Holland Committee to consider the future of chemical warfare and defence. Yeah, so Germany's had 2 years of blowing people to bits with that and absolutely decimating them, and they want it now all over the world, and that's what has happened. That work would continue at Porton Down. From that date, a slow permanent building programme was launched, and that is by civilian scientists. Yeah, you don't have to sign up. You're not getting conscripted. It is your career path to learn how to kill people efficiently in peacetime. But we're still in the middle of the fucking war. Oh no, we've just ended it. 1919. From that date, a slow permanent building program began, coupled with the gradual recruitment of civilian scientists. By 1922, there were 380 servicemen, 23 scientific and technical civil servants, and 25 civil subordinates. Remember that we're now considering another Cold War period, and all of that gets ultra tense, and the gap between World War I and World War II is only 20 years. Yeah, the biggest cause of death in world history. Yeah, and all of the families and friends that are the leadership teams are the cousins of the enemies in the monarchy and in the aristocracy. Butcher Haig, you bastard. Which is why he's called Butcher. Right then. By 1926, the chemical defence aspects of air raid precautions, that's the launch of HARP, and controlling the world's communication systems, because the air raid precautions analogy is the word ARP. For this, that's air raid precautions. For the civilian population was added to the station's responsibilities. In 1929, the Royal Engineers Experimental Station became the Chemical Warfare Experimental Station, 1929 to 1930, when George Bush's family are preparing to leave Germany. Yeah, 37, off they go, and the Fourth Reich is launched there, as well as in France and in Holland. Yeah, the Low Countries. It cannot get lower, nor can the sun. Oh yes, it can. Yeah, you see the shadows again. So, in 1930, Britain and Britain, ratified the 1925 Geneva Protocol with reservations which permitted the use of chemical warfare agents only in retaliation. So do you see how it works? If you train your people as insiders on the other side, they learn the secrets, and as soon as one side invents one of the new weapons that has a bigger killing capacity than the old weapons, they then immediately share the technology. So the death rate rises and the number of hungry eaters fall. By 1938, the international situation was such that the cabinet authorised offensive chemical warfare. Oh my God, I've forgotten. Sorry. By 1926, the chemical post-First World War we're on now, and if the whole of that soundtrack is missing, that's because I'm getting old and forgetful. By 1926, the chemical defence aspects of air raid precautions, ARP, do you get it? All the activists think that they're really clever by claiming that the technology of having HARP, yeah, so that you can interfere with your enemies' conversations and listen in, that is the launch of HARP and the terrifying of all of the world's people. And we don't need the sunshine shelter now. For the civilian population was added to the station's responsibilities. In 1929, the Royal Engineer Experimental Station became the Chemical Warfare Experimental Station, CWES, 1929 to 30, and in 1930 the Chemical Defence Experimental Station, 1930 to 1948. In 1930, Britain ratified the 1925 Geneva Protocols. That is what the government are in breach of, and that is all of my human rights, which is why I have to make all of my videos in public land. Yeah, I have no place to live, yeah, because I'm honest and I tell the truth about how all of this has led to the totally corrupted government that we have globally now. And it is not an accident. Yeah. So, 1930 ratified the Geneva Protocol. By 1938, the international situation was such that the Cabinet authorised offensive chemical warfare research and development and production of war reserves, stocks of chemical warfare agents by the chemical industry. There are the trials of 2-inch mortars in 1917, when George Bush and his family were still Nazis. Right then. So, on 1st of August 1962, Geoffrey Bacon, in the 1950s, the station that is Porton Down, now renamed the Chemical Defence Experimental Establishment, CD. Yeah, CID, but this is CD. Became involved with the development of CS, a riot control agent. Yeah, they're prepared to gas you if you try and get your opinions across, and took an increasing role in trauma and wound ballistics work. Yeah, and that is the advanced technology that allowed them to electrocute your testicles in the torture regions, in the massive American invasions of Iraq and the Holy Lands. In 1970, the senior establishment at Porton Down was renamed the Chemical Defence System, CDE. Yeah. For the next 21 years, preoccupation with defence against nerve agents continued, but in the 1970s and 1980s, the establishment was also concerned with studying reported chemical warfare by Iraq against Iran, as we take them over for their oil wealth, and against its own Kurdish population. Nadim Zahawi, you sad bastard, with his business registration and his oil wealth registered in the House of Commons. And he's still in the House of Commons, and he's still not a war criminal. Porton Down was the laboratory where the initial samples of the Ebola virus were sent in 1976 during the first confirmed outbreak of the disease in Africa. That's when my children were in Africa. Yeah, and luckily my son did not get that disease, but some of his school chums in the party from this beautiful borders region, yeah, came back with Ebola. Porton Down was the laboratory where initial samples of the Ebola virus were sent in 76 during the first confirmed outbreak of the disease in Africa. Let's get back. You can look up Porton Down for yourself, and there's the 21st century now, profiling how the technology has allowed us to make the concept of human extinction on this earth possible. 21st century. Until 2001, the military installation of Porton Down was part of the government's UK Defence Evaluation and Research Agency, DERA. Yeah, when it was split into Quinnet City, Quinnet Q, initially a full government-owned company and the Defence Science and Technology Laboratory Distiller Incorporates. And I believe that quinnet is, I think that's 5, and Monty Python say 5 is not allowed in your plots, and that is the 5 arrows, and we know who they are, the saddest bastards in world history. Yeah, and that is the Rothschilds that get their mates called the Bears strung up on the allegations that they are nothing to do with nerve gas production, but the lower ranking families from Frankfurt who ran the gas manufacturing. The gases were oh God, so their icon is the sun god, and that is the shape of their factory. That is in Frankfurt, and that is where the biggest production unit for the nerve gases and the research unit was manufacturing sarin as one of the most efficient, and that is the I keep forgetting that the name of the institution is the biggest cause of death in the wartime, and it can kill 2 million people in a calendar year in one of the tiny death camps because it's so efficient. That is Zyklon is the most popular gas, and that is, the company is called IG Farben. Yeah, nothing to do with Rothschild, even although all of the people that were the executives and the scientists were found and funded by them, and the funding is in inverted commas because that is the sacking of the whole of Europe for its wealth and its land. Nothing to do with me, Gov. Yeah, the Rothschild family, with those 300 mansions all over Europe as the joke that 300 is the Bible code for Jesus. Yeah, and that is the Rothschilds that are quite happy to kill the Christians, the Jews, or the pagans, and that is the pagans all over the world until we invented those Gatling guns and things like that. So, I think we'd better get a move on, or I'm not going to be able to get the rest of the Pfeffel scandal that is running of MOD out of Germany. And let me show you this. This is also run by Deutsche DVD Deutsche. It's a company called DHL, and there is its icon. You might recognize it flying up the high street. That is a secret society running out of directorates registered in England, and it means DHL Express Party Delivery Van. That is the Deutsche Dunst organisation, founded immediately after the war was finished, in inverted commas. Yeah, and those vans were flashing past me, and there is the Queen of England's sign on it. Yeah, that is the Deutsche Dunst organisation running around now in Rothschild yellow vans, yeah, selling the secret messages that are being passed from Britain to Germany. And I've got all the director numbers, and that leads you into all of the leadership team that are the massive policing organisations in Great Britain. That is Lord Condon's organisations. Let me just take you through how comprehensive the coverage of the DVD Deutsche Nazi syndicate is. Let's show you on the business register first. Sorry, Sun God, I cannot share this with you. There's DHL in London. How many companies, it does not tell you on that one. Boghall Drive, West Lothian. Let's just keep going and show you the corporates that will be so familiar to you all. There's D and HL, Boghall. That is the same explanation as the naming of this town. That is the bog that happens when you get rainstorms because the government are not doing a good job, and out they come again. There's the boggy bit. Right then. So, there are dozens of tabs here, and it absolutely stunned me the other night. In the pub I was drinking in, asked them if I could have this bottle of champagne, and when I told them why, I said the Rothschild family may kill you if you know the knowledge that I've just learned. So, so here's the Deutsche Post Company and director search for the people that run the DVD still. Deutsche Post Insurance Limited, Deutsche Post Global Mail UK Limited, wait for this,